What's going on, guys? This is Chris with Azrael's Pit Barbecue, and in this video we are going to make Spatchcock BBQ Chicken. Let's get cooking. Now, if the term spatchcock sounds a little weird or foreign to you, don't worry, it's nothing too technical. It literally means to split open poultry or some type of game bird. In our case today, it's going to be chicken, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut the spine out so we can lay the chickens flat on the pit. We're going to cook them hot and fast, we're going to glaze them off with our barbecue sauce, and we can quarter them or we can pull them. I'm going to quarter ours for dinner tonight, but first we got to do a little prep. So let's take a look at these birds and see what we need to do. Alright guys, what you're seeing here is a couple of basically young chickens you can use for roasting. I'm going to use them for roasting on my wood-fired pit to make some barbecue chicken. So this is looking at the back side. If I were to flip this one over, this is your breast side. Now some people will spatchcock that actually will move the breastbone, but as far as I'm concerned, that's too dangerous for the meat here. You could damage and really jack it up. So we're going to go through the spine. This is very simple to do. You're going to take some heavy kitchen shears like these. The neck bone's here, where the neck ends. We're going to come down to the Pope's nose, or the tail here. And you basically want to go to the left of this and to the right of this and cut it out and just make a column here. So if you're a little squeamish, this might be a little weird, but don't worry. After you do this once, you'll love it. You're going to have to cut through the rib bones all the way up. So that's one side, easy done. We'll go to the other side now. And that is literally all there is to removing that spine. I'm going to do this one real quick. Sometimes getting through those first rib bones there can be a little bit difficult. Just stick with it. Now we've got our spines cut out, and you can see how they'll start pulling apart. However, we now need to get them to really lay out the way we want them. We've got to crack the breastbone. So you're going to flip these over. We'll splay them out a little bit on the back end. And just like you're trying to give CPR to somebody, we're going to get right here in this breastbone. We're going to push down till you hear it crack.
Ah, you don't see that every day.
Alright. I've got a couple of paper towels here handy. I'm going to just dab off the juices here, because our next step is to salt these up and give them a little bit of a dry brine a few hours before we're going to cook. I'll tell you why in just a moment. Once you have your chickens dried off, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to dry brine them. And I'm basically going to give these a pretty liberal salting. And you want to do this a few hours before you're ready to actually cook. The reason why we're doing this is going to help dry out our skin a little bit so that we don't have a rubbery skin. Anytime you do a slow chicken cook, you can end up getting, a lot of times you end up with a real rubbery skin, or the other potential is somebody over smokes it and then the skin is just so smoked out you can't even eat it. I want to be able to eat this skin or at least let the people eating choose whether or not they want to eat it. But I don't want them to not eat it simply because it's rubbery or it's nasty or it just falls off. So this drying out process will help with that. And don't take that to mean we're drying it out in terms of you're drying out the meat. We're simply doing this so we can have some crisp or crisper skin. I'm salting both sides. Make sure you get the legs on both sides. I'm not going crazy, just dusting it up with some salt. It'll be just fine. Once you have your chickens salted up, put them in a pan, stick them in the fridge for a good 3 hours before you're ready to cook. Alright guys, let's talk about the cook for just a minute. We're going to cook these hot and fast. We're talking 300, 325 degrees preferably on an indirect fire, which means if you're going to use a grill, you need to set up for 2-zone cooking. If you're going to use a smoker or a cooker like me, no worries, you should already be set up for 2-zone just naturally. I'm going to use wood fire, and it'll be based on pecan and apple wood. If you're using charcoal and you want to get a little bit of smoke, go real easy with that, especially if this is your first time cooking like this. Go ahead and make up a couple of smoke bomb packets out of some wood chips, aluminum foil, 4 ounces or so a piece. Throw them on, 30 minutes, throw on another one, and that should just about do it. Poultry can really soak in and get over smoked quickly, so take it easy until you find out what you want your flavor to really be. Before we go to the cooker, I'm going to dust these up with my standard barbecue rub, and then later on I'll glaze them. If you saw our thighs, our muffin pan thighs video, pretty much cooking it just like that, minus the muffin pan. We'll be back. Alright guys, it has been a few hours and we just took the chickens out of our fridge and the pit is lit. So we've got our dry brine done. Now we're going to put a little bit of oil on them, basically to act as a binder, and I'm going to season them up. If we go back down and look at our chickens here, here's my seasoning. This is generally my straight up rub that I use for any other barbecue like pulled pork or ribs. Keep in mind that you have salted these, so whatever you add later, be aware of how much salt, because as we've mentioned in previous videos, it is an accumulative thing and you don't want to be over salted. I'm just going to put a little bit of oil on these. I'm using an olive oil. This is really just a binder to help my seasoning stick. Now the pit is lit, working its way up to higher than 325, which is going to be our final cooking temperature at the grate. You will notice I am not messing around with pulling the skin up and putting anything under the skin or anything like that. We're literally just doing a surface seasoning here. Be aware of these bones from the ribs that you cut through earlier. They can have little sharp points to them, so don't catch your gloves or your hands on them, whatever you're using. All right. Alright, and that's all there is to it. I'm going to go check on the pit. Once it gets to my cooking temperature, or just a little bit above my cooking temperature, we're going to go throw these on. I'm going to put them on skin side down, 325 degrees at the grate, and then about 30 minutes, I'm going to flip them. 30 minutes later, I'll flip them, sauce them, start glazing them up, and then we'll start really paying attention to the temperature internally. Thickest point on the chickens, breast and thighs, we're shooting for 165 to 170 degrees. You go over that, you're going to start getting some dry chicken. So let's go check the pit. Alright guys, I'm a little over 300 degrees on my needle, which means I'm a little bit hotter at my grate. We're going to put these on skin side down And like I said, for about 30 minutes, and then I'll come check them and flip them over. Now, you want to make sure you do not do this over a direct fire. If you do, you're going to burn your seasonings, and if there's any sugars in your rub, that's going to burn quickly. Now all we got to do is tin this pit. 30 minutes, we're going to give them a flip. About 30 minutes after that, flip them again, and I'm going to start saucing them lightly, and we'll just keep doing that until we reach our internal temperatures, again of 165 to 170 in the thickest parts, the breast meat and the thighs. You could go lower temperature if you want. It will take longer, obviously, but that 300 plus degree temperature is really what's going to help get that skin right. So if you can, make sure you use a good digital probe. Make sure you know what your temperature is at the grate. In excess of 300, shoot for 325. Alright guys, it's been about a half hour. My alarm just went off. We'll put on my trusty hot glove and just give these a flip. Another 30 minutes. Alright guys, we just put the temp probes on. Our second 30 minutes have gone by. Look what we have here. Isn't that pretty? So what we're going to do real quick, I'm going to just put some sauce on these. Just to glaze them up. We'll flip them over, sauce the other side, and then we'll start paying attention to the temp every 15 minutes or so until we're where we want to be. And this sauce will set as we go. So it'll get sauced more than once. Now, once we get further into the cook here, get closer to being done, be careful picking up by the legs. It could just fall right out. You don't want to do that. Now, if you're not hearing sizzling on your cooker, don't worry. This is just kind of an attribute of a reverse flow cooker. Your regular old offset pits or vertical pits or your grill won't do that. But there's an added benefit because as juices and whatnot come off of what you're cooking, you get a little steam effect and get that little extra flavor. Reverse flows really are nice and have a lot of neat attributes, and that's one of them. Alright, we're going to close her back down. Come check her again in about 15 minutes. And we'll add some more sauce. We'll be back. Looks like we got about 20 degrees to go. I'll give these a flip. Oh, I tore my skin. Thighs are doing good. I think we just need these breasts to come up a little bit more. Just a little bit longer. Alright guys, we are done, and check out this beautiful, beautiful bird. I'm telling you, I don't care how you cook chicken, try it this way. You will never do it another way again. So, I'm going to carve this out. You can do a few things with this. You could pull this all apart and just do pulled chicken, or you can carve it up. I'm actually going to carve it up. So that we can have some whole pieces. And then I'll take all this and pull it out, and we'll have some pulled on the side. And there you have it. Got our wings, got our quarters here, breast meat, and some breast meat pulled. How beautiful is that? Alright guys, that about wraps it up. I got one more of these chickens to break down real quick, then we're going to have us some dinner. I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button for more videos like this. Do yourself a favor, give this a try. Make sure you get that temperature nice and hot. This is so good, and remember, it doesn't have to be a barbecue flavor. You can do something herbal. You can just do some salt and pepper. You can pretty much do whatever you want. Until next time, this is Chris with Azrael's Pit Barbecue. Keep that smoke rolling.